speak to your folks there and at your company. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I'll try to be brief and I'll try to be to the point. But a couple of things that I want to cover. First of all, as you've already mentioned, DSA is the National Trade Association that represents direct selling companies. DSA has been around for just shy of 100 years. 2010 is the 100th anniversary. And so we've been around for a long time. The DSA Code of Ethics, which we're specifically going to talk about, has been around since the 1970s. And DSA, like I said, we represent about a little over 200 different companies. Many of them are household names that you're obviously very familiar with other than your own company. And we think it's, in a sense, being a DSA member is like the good housekeeping seal of approval. It means something. It has value. A commitment by a company to be a DSA member shows their commitment to operating in a correct and legal manner and also an ethical manner. So we think it's pretty important, and we appreciate all the members that we have, including yours, and we certainly want to do everything we can to facilitate ethical operation of your business as with all the others. I will tell you that one of the things that we do at DSA that you may or may not be aware of, and become a DSA member, is a year-long process currently. One of the things that I do as an attorney at DSA and some of the other attorneys, we review the companies, we look at their marketing materials, we look at their compensation structure, we look at every aspect of the company we can to ensure that before someone becomes a DSA member, they're operating in a legal, ethical manner and certainly within the compliance of the DSA Code of Ethics. And one of the things that I do at DSA, besides the pending reviews, they also randomly review all the pending member companies once every 5 years to make sure they're maintaining that level of ethical commitment. One of the things that all distributors should be aware of is certainly what the DSA Code of Ethics is and certainly how to comply with it. One of the things that sometimes have been asked of us, why is the Code of Ethics important to your business? Well, there's an old adage in business that good ethics is good business. Certainly having a good reputation in the marketplace is critical to any long-term viability of a company. Your reputation is just critical, as it is with your own reputation. Your personal reputation for integrity and honesty is important the same way it is for a company. And if a company gets a bad reputation, you could come up with your own examples of where that has happened over the years with a corporate structure or with an individual. Devastating that can be to that person's life or to that company's business. So taking that in mind, that good ethics is good business, that's why DSA, a number of years ago in the 1970s, took it upon itself to come up with a code of ethics that all member companies are required to abide by, and that because of the member company's commitment, and you are also, as distributors for that company, are required to abide by. I will tell you that we do have a code administrator. Jared Blum currently is a code administrator. He's someone that is a former DSA attorney who's now independent of DSA and in private practice. And if there's a complaint to the company, whether it be from a distributor or from a consumer, he processes those complaints and works with the company to resolve that. Now, the code itself is structured in such a way that it not only talks about the relationship between the consumer and the company, and the consumer and the distributor, but also the distributor and the company. So a lot of things that go to it. You might ask, well, what are the benefits to the DSA code of your business? Well, as I alluded to earlier, having that credibility in the marketplace is crucial. If you're looking for a doctor or whatever, you might look for certain certifications, certain seals of approval, being for certain medical boards or whatever. In the same way, when you look at a business, you typically look at is there an organization that certifies that person. You hear all the time about things about certification of a certain skill set, whether it be a mechanic or a doctor or whatever. So this is the way. This is a certification. This is a housekeeping seal for this business. So by operating as a DSA member and distributors of a DSA member company, then you have the opportunity to make that known, whether it be in your marketing materials, on the website, or just when you communicate with the folks that you're going to come in contact with. So if you're recruiting people into your business, one of the things that they might want to know, and at least you might even want to tell them, is that we're a DSA member company. We abide by a strict code of ethics. And you can be assured that if you enter into a relationship with our company, if you buy a product from our company, that it's backed up by our own commitment and also by our commitment to the DSA Code of Ethics. So it gives you credibility in the marketplace, like I said, whether you're recruiting or whether you are in the process of just selling to a consumer. So we think it's very important. So it's a great thing for the company. It's a great thing for the consumer to know, but it's also I think a great thing just to do, just regardless of whether it was a benefit to you, just to show that your company's committed to ethics. Now, there are a couple of things, as I mentioned earlier, there are a couple of things that consider when looking at this. One of them was this idea of the relationship between the company and the distributor, and the other one was between the distributor and the company. I'm going to focus just a little bit on some of the key concepts to be aware of when talking about the relationship between the company, the distributor, and the consumer. Some of the things that you probably hopefully haven't heard, but if you're not, we'll just go over them real briefly, and that'll be the scope of the presentation. What I will encourage you to do after this is look on your own company website, which the DSA Code of Ethics is linked from. You can go to DSA's website, which is www.dsa.org, and you can look through the Code of Ethics, and it is somewhat of a long document, but some of the critical elements of it are pretty straightforward. So you, as distributors for your company, some of the things that you should be aware of when you're communicating with either people that you're trying to recruit or people that you're trying to sell a product to. Some of the critical things. Tell them who you are and what you're approaching them for and what the products you're selling are. You have an obligation to promptly end a demonstration or presentation if you're requested to. When you give a receipt to a customer, you should have a clearly stated cooling off period from which the consumer can withdraw within 3 days from the date of sale, which is also a reflection of the FTC's cooling off rule, which is a requirement. You explain to them how to return the product or cancel an order. You need your promotional materials, and this is actually a new requirement most companies are coming to comply with. I think a lot of companies are already doing this anyway. In the promotional materials that you have for your company, it should identify the company and the salesperson, including contact information for either. We obviously make sure that companies safeguard the information of not only their distributors but also of the consumers of the product, and also to provide accurate information regarding the price, quality, quantity, performance, and availability of their products or services. You obviously offer a receipt in the language that the person can understand. Obviously, if you have a number of folks who are purchasing or Spanish speakers, you would need to provide a receipt in their language. Those are just a small number of the kind of things that interacting with the consumer you need to be aware of. One of the issues that I think comes up quite often is this idea of making sure that the product is promoted in an ethical manner. Now, depending on the type of product, whether it's consumable like nutritionals or cosmetics or whatever, it's somewhat dependent. Obviously, consumers of nutritionals and cosmetics are more susceptible to false claims maybe than other types of products. But regardless of that, any claims made by the company and the distributors needs to be substantiated by facts. And that's been an issue in the past across the board, not really necessarily in direct selling any more than any other place, but the Federal Trade Commission, which regulates these kind of things, has been really cracking down and really focusing on product claims and making sure that whatever you say about the product, and that goes into the company's requirement that distributors make sure whatever representations they make about the product or the opportunity for that matter are straightforward and honest and above board. So in a sense, in a nutshell, the Code of Ethics is just about telling the truth, being honest, being straightforward, telling people about the opportunity in an honest and straightforward way, telling people about the product in a straightforward and honest way. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but that's kind of it in a nutshell. So they're the kind of obligations I think any company should be committed to, but we take it very seriously. One of the unique aspects of direct selling that distributors probably know about is a 90% buyback, which is a requirement that if a distributor enters into a relationship with a company and sometime in the future they decide they want to discontinue the relationship,